One of Nintendo's biggest sales of the year is happening right now, and you have just a few days left to grab some of the biggest titles at a massive discount. And seeing as the eShop is a little bit of a mess, today I've put together a guide as to which games you should pick up this sale period. But before we get into all that, there is just one thing I want to point out, especially if money is tight, and that is the sheer amount of demos that are available on the eShop for you to play for free, including the Princess Peach Showtime demo, which just released last week. It gives you about an hour or so of gameplay, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely recommend checking that out before you buy the game, as it gives you a good little taste. But yeah, you don't necessarily need to spend money to play some brand new games. Now let's jump into the sales. Now, one of the reasons why this sale is particularly massive is there seems to be 3 pretty major sales happening all at the same time. So first of all, we've got the Mario Day sales, which is all the biggest and best Mario titles all being on sale, although we will go through the fact that the Europe sales and the American sales are a little bit different. But on top of that, Square Enix has also got a massive sale going on. And on top of all of that, we also have a Warner Bros. Sale and your typical indie games that always seem to go on sale around this time as well. So there is a ton to go through. First up, let's go through all the Mario Day sales, as these to me are some of the best offers. Now this is done slightly differently if you live in Europe to if you live in America, but we are going to quickly go through both of them. So for Europeans, instead of all these Mario games being on sale, instead they're offering to give you 10% back in gold points for any of these Mario titles you pick up. This includes the likes of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Mario Kart, Mario Party, Super Mario RPG, Luigi's Mansion, and a couple more. So this basically means if you, for example, pick up Mario Wonder at full price, you'll get £5 of gold points back, which you can then spend on another game. Now, I don't necessarily think any of these sale games are actually worth picking up if you're European because of the American sales. Because typically when there's a huge sale on in America, this means that Amazon try and match those prices, and you can find all the games I'm just about to mention that are on sale on the American eShop also cheap on Amazon as well. So that's why you're going to want to listen up to this regardless of where your Nintendo Switch account is from. So first up, we have Mario Kart that is currently 33% off. I feel like I don't need to say too much about Mario Kart. I have a disgusting amount of hours in this game. I absolutely love it. It's literally the only racing game I have ever played or ever need to play. I personally almost exclusively either play this with friends or play it on the online mode as well. So if you've been thinking about picking this up, this will be the perfect time to do it. We also have all the Mario Rabbids collection that is up to 65% off at the moment. And although this isn't my favorite Mario game ever, it also is crazy value for money at this sort of discount. This is a Mario franchise unlike any other, because this is actually a turn-based tactical action adventure. And it will see you play as Mario along with a cast of Rabbids that are all dressed in amazing outfits on a quest to save the galaxy. And although these games aren't my favorite, they also just seem to be super underrated for what they are. So if you've been tempted to buy these before, now might be a good chance to pick them up. Although I will say they're on sale a lot, so may not be the highest priority to buy this sale period. Then we have Mario Party Superstars, which is also 33% off. This is still to this day one of my favorite party games of all time. You can play this with literally anyone, be it people who have gamed a ton before, be it people who are completely new to gaming. It's genuinely one of the most accessible games there are of all time. And if you're looking for a game to play with friends and family, be it online or in person, you really can't get any better than this. I'm not even someone who normally enjoys like board games, but Mario Party Superstars is the exception, and I truly have never had a bad time playing this. I also don't think I have ever won at Mario Party Superstars. The bonus stars just never seem to come my way. We also have Luigi's Mansion 3, which is 32% off right now. I will still call this, to this day, one of the best puzzle games on the Nintendo Switch. I also think it's just a highly underrated game. It always seems to be passed over in favor of all the other Nintendo titles. It's also an absolute bargain at this price. I've had a lot of fun playing it myself. And although it is a little bit spooky, it was nothing I couldn't handle. Then we have Yoshi's Crafted World, which is also 33% off. And whilst this game is definitely not worth full price, I do feel like it's worth the price it's currently on sale for. This is a lovely 3D platformer. I love the look of it. I love the character of it. Again, just not enough people give this game enough love. I think it came out pretty early on in the Switch's life cycle, but definitely worth picking up if you love this sort of vibe. And as I said earlier, you're not just restricted to buying these on the eShop, although that's where these sales are from, as quite often other stores will try and match these sales for physical games, so that's definitely worth checking out as well. Now we're going to move on to all of the other sales. I had a look, these are on sale on both the European eShop and the American eShop right now, and all of these are some of my personal favourite games. First up, we have Powerwash Sim. Up until the recent release of Supermarket Sim, this has been my absolute go-to for when I just need to sit back and relax. I don't really fully understand what makes power washing so calming, but I think at least in part my enjoyment with this game is just how satisfying it is. Because not only do you get to see yourself clean things, but you also get the dopamine hits that is the dings when you fully clean an area of an object. Each of the maps that you can play in the base game takes you around an hour or so to finish, and you can use the money that you get from completing jobs to upgrade all of your equipment and make things even easier. But one of the things I love about Powerwash Sim is also the ability to buy a ton of different DLCs that cover so many different games and topics that it just turns out to be never-ending fun. It's one of those games that is really hard to describe to people why it's fun, but once you play it, you will truly understand. Definitely pick it up if you haven't already. I love it to pieces. Next is Harvestella, which is currently 50% off. Now this is a fantastic game for a very specific type of gamer. This is an RPG with farming and life sim elements. Basically, it has a day and night cycle, and you farm and cook food to help you with the boss battles in a basically normal RPG-like game. But despite this having one of the slowest starts in gaming history, and the fact that there only seems to be 5 NPC faces that get reused in all of the towns in the entire game, this actually has one of the best stories I have ever played on the Nintendo Switch, and it's genuinely only let down by the fact that it is not voice acted and it has no cutscenes. The story sees you wake up in a strange town during what they call the Season of Death, a time where dust fills the air, plants wither, and it's not safe to step outside. And this occurs with the changing of each season. The issue is, the Season of Death has been getting longer and longer, and it's your job to travel the land and investigate and try and put a stop to it. Not only do I think the story is really strong, the side quests in this also have a lot of depth and made me feel a lot of things. As I said though, this is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, especially with the really slow pacing at the start, but you're going to get a solid 60 plus hours out of it if you can get into it, so I think it is pretty good value for money at this price. Then we have Life is Strange, which is 50% off, and Life is Strange True Colors, which is 70% off, which is the sequel. I actually only started playing this game on my Xbox a few months ago, and I am so sad it took me so long to get around to playing this, as the story is so unbelievably good alongside the incredible voice acting, and it literally took me to places I never would have imagined. This is a narrative experience where not only do your choices matter, but you also have the ability to rewind time and change what you want to choose. You play as Max Caulfield, who is a high school senior who starts to investigate the disappearance of a fellow student while trying to make sure that the choices you make don't lead to a devastating future. The game, of course, has multiple endings and handles difficult topics with wonderful beauty. Now, I absolutely love the fact that you can rewind time. One of the things that really puts me off playing these sorts of games is having to make really quick and rash decisions, and often decisions that I wind up regretting later down the line. So I love the fact that in this, you can make a decision, see kind of how it goes initially, and then if you want to check out what the other decision would do, you rewind time and pick that one instead. The ability to rewind time also leads to this really fun sort of puzzle solving mechanic in the game as well, where sometimes you do need to go back in time to kind of give you an answer or fix something going forward. And the game, after each chapter, kind of lets you see where you got to, what you chose, versus how everyone else handled the situation as well. So this gives you a ton of replay value on top of everything else. I'm honestly so sad it took me so long to discover these wonderful games, and this is a fantastic price to get started. Then we have Ghost Trick, which is currently 33% off. This is a puzzle game that will see you solve your very own murder. And actually, the fact that you're dead really helps you, as you'll be able to possess and manipulate objects and even rewind time to try and solve these puzzles. Now, this is a slightly different style of game, so you'll be glad to know you can also try out the free demo and see if this game is for you before you buy it. But if you're looking for a puzzle game with a bit of a difference, I can definitely suggest it. Then we have Monster Hunter Stories 2, which is 25% off. And this again is a thoroughly underrated game, and this was my first little tiptoe into the Monster Hunter franchise. Now, this is a turn-based RPG that sees you learn how to become a rider and form bonds with what they call the Monsties. And although the story is great and involves you being tasked to protect an egg and investigate the strange goings-on across the world, what I actually had the most fun doing was hunting for rare eggs, which is kind of similar to shiny hunting in essence, but was a ton of fun. I spent a ton of hours trying to get the bestest boys in my team. Again, it's just a game with a little bit of a difference, and I can't recommend it enough. Then we have Ori, which is currently 67% off, but this is just on sale for today. Now, I'm not typically into platformers, but this was a game that convinced me that maybe platformers are for me, as not only are the platforming mechanics in this unbelievably solid, making this a complete pleasure to play, but you play as this adorable creature Ori, and you see him venture around the forest trying to restore it in a story that is utterly beautiful. And it's kind of, in essence, an open world platformer. You can explore wherever you want to go, but you are limited in terms of what abilities you've unlocked at the time. And as you progress further through the game, you can make it further around the map. It's also a game that has stuck with me despite the fact that I haven't played it in years, but it is one of my favorites and I love it to pieces, and I love seeing it at such a good price. For 60% off, we also have Gang Beasts, and this is probably the funniest party game I have ever played in my entire life. You basically just have to throw each other off the map. But not only are the maps absolutely wacky, so are the physics, and it just basically meant that I seemed to perpetually have a stitch from laughing so much as we played this. And again, you don't have to be a particularly good gamer to have fun playing it, so it's definitely a great pick for when you have friends and family over. Then for 50% off, we have Okami HD. This is an absolutely beautiful game that once again just deserves a bit more love. This is all about the Japanese sun goddess that inhabits the form of a white wolf on a quest to try and defeat the 8-headed monster responsible for destroying the world. But the thing that truly makes this game unique is the way you use a brush to restore the land with life and colour. And if you want to, you can even use the motion controls to use the brush as well. It truly is such a beautiful experience and is definitely worth checking out. Then we have Figment, which is 91% off in the EU for just the base game, or you can buy a bundle in America instead. And honestly, this EU price is absolutely criminal. This is a game I only discovered last year, but it truly is so unique in everything that it does. Everything you do in this game happens inside the human mind, and all the actions that you do impacts the human whose brain you live inside. And this will see you travel to different areas of the brain, beating nightmares and trying to restore the courage that you've lost. But the thing I really enjoyed about Figment is its focus around music, as music plays a key role in not only the puzzles that you have to solve as you run around, but also in the boss battles as well. My only wish with this game is that there was difficulty levels. Our final game on today's list is Dredge, which is currently 25% off. I don't think I need to say much more about Dredge other than the fact that it was one of my favourite games I discovered last year, and with the DLCs that they're releasing, it just seems to get better. Dredge has a ton of cozy mechanics in a not so cozy and actually quite unsettling way. You find yourself washed ashore on a strange town after your boat is utterly destroyed. And after you cut a deal with the mayor, you begin fishing around the island to try and earn your money back. But it's not long before you realise that when the sun sets, there's something quite sinister going on around these islands, and it becomes your job to investigate and figure out what is happening. Now, this is quite a spooky game. I definitely only play this in the daylight, but I do absolutely love it. I love the kind of repetitive mechanics that you have going on, upgrading your boat, making it better, exploring further away from the base town, and everything like that. It was a game that's definitely outside of my comfort zone, but I'm so glad I took a chance on it. And for this price, if you've been tempted to try it out, it may be worth it. That's it for today's sales video. If you see a good game on sale that I didn't talk about, make sure you drop it in the comment section down below. And if you want to see some underrated cozy games that you definitely should check out, click this video here.